Hello and welcome to the YouTube channel for the Renaissance English History Podcast. If you are new here, a very special, warm welcome to you. My name is Heather, and I have been podcasting on Tudor England since 2009. And this channel is where I put all of my podcast episodes from all the different shows I do, as well as lots of extra content that doesn't make it into an actual podcast episode, like the one we're going to do today on Tudor money. So if you like the idea of Tudorifying your YouTube, go ahead and hit subscribe so you never miss a video that I put out. And who doesn't need more Tudor in their YouTube? My YouTube algorithm has gone all weird lately, and it's throwing all kinds of weird stuff at me. But I wanted to throw more Tudor stuff at me. So here we go. So today I'm actually going to share my screen so you can side. I'm enjoying the really nice weather. I hope you have nice weather where you are. It was pretty hot last week, but it is really pleasant this morning, which is nice because my daughter had a moving up ceremony to her next grade and it was outside and I was bummed it was going to be hot, but it wasn't. All right. So here's what we're talking about. We are talking about Tudor money. But hey, look at that banner right there for Tudor Con. Before we do, I just want to make a quick reminder or let you know that Tudor Con streaming tickets are available. So if you can't come to Lancaster, Pennsylvania for Tudor Con, September 8th through 10th, we will bring Tudor Con to you wherever you are in the world. So we have streaming tickets, and what you get with that is all of the talks are going to be live streamed onto Zoom. So you can participate live. You know, there'll be people from all over the world watching. You'll be part of this community watching. You get to ask questions of the speakers, all that kind of stuff. The chats will be moderated so you can hop into the discussions. Also, you get the recording. We're recording everything. So you'll get the recordings, and the recordings are going to be way better than last year because what we learned was to get a separate mic, to get a clip-on mic, which we didn't do last year. So you'll get the recordings and you'll also get transcripts of everything. So you'll get the transcript of, I think there's 9 talks. So you'll get that. You're also going to get a digital swag bag because the people coming in person get their, in-person swag bag. You will get a digital one that will have ebooks and e-art and all kinds of cool stuff. I've got some special surprises thrown in just for the people coming online. Like your own trivia. We, at the welcome party on Friday nights in person, we have trivia night. We take a half an hour and have a little trivia match. And so the people online will be able to participate in that as well, because you're going to have your own online version of trivia. Yeah, it's just going to be super fun. So the gist is, if you use code EARLYBIRD, coupon code EARLYBIRD, when you reserve your spot, you will save $10 off of the regular price. So space is limited. I know it's like the internet and it's like unlimited, but we do have limits with how big the Zoom room is and, just how much we can manage ourselves. So we do have a limit set. So you want to grab your spot early so you can make sure you reserve your spot. So it's September 8th through 10th, 3 months away. Use code EARLYBIRD, englandcast.com/TudorCon online. Use code EARLYBIRD when you sign up to save $10. Indeed. All right. So let's go past that banner and go to our talk about Tudor money. So this is actually a blog post I did. You can see 2019, and it's still one of the most popular blog posts on my blog. So I thought that I would do a little video about it as well. It was sparked by an episode I did on Tudor credit. And I find the rise of credit in the 16th century. So I'm like a total economics geek and nerd. Like I nerd out on stuff like that. And I find the rise of credit in the 16th century to be fascinating because philosophically, at its core, credit, I have to sneeze. It's coming. Allergies. It's not coming. All right, I give up. At its core, I had a really deep thought there. At its core, credit is the belief that tomorrow is going to be better than today, right? You lend me money for a car that I can't afford right now. I will pay you back tomorrow with interest. And that is a very humanistic belief. That's a very secular belief. If you think about the period before then, deeply rooted in the church and the belief that this life was just practice for heaven, for death. We were here just to practice for death. And humanism says, no, this life can actually be amazing too. And this life is worth living, and this life is worth enjoying fully, and not just as a preparation for death and for what comes after. And out of that kind of humanistic thought came this idea that tomorrow will be better than today. And how that spilled over financially, of course, is in the rise of credit, which really took off during this period for consumers. Kings had always borrowed money, the nobility had always borrowed money, but for regular people to be able to buy consumer goods is a very, very new thing. So I did this episode where I geeked out on credit. And then out of that, I was also thinking about money. So there's this currency converter at the National Archives I'm going to enter. It's important with currency conversion to remember that it's not like an apples to apples comparison. It's more about like what can that money buy you, as opposed to just saying like, 100 pounds in 1510 is worth, 66,000 pounds today. Okay, but what does that like actually mean? And it's more about things like food, for example, was much more expensive for people in the 16th century than it is for us today. We have a plethora of cheap food, of inexpensive foods. All year round, you can get strawberries. All year round, you can get tropical fruits, and it's very inexpensive compared to what our Tudor friends would have experienced. Even the wealthiest, it was dependent on the weather, it was dependent on the harvest, and food was much, much more of a sizable chunk of a person's budget than today. But then today we have things like cell phones we buy, and computers we buy, and cars, which they did not have. So it's not quite an apples to apples comparison. So the idea is more just like, could you afford to live well for what you had at that time? And so 100 pounds in 1510, which is the year after Henry VIII came to the throne, would be worth about 66,000 pounds in today's money. And with that, you could buy 3,333 days of skilled labor, or 263 cows, or 70 horses. Interesting, right? So they have this currency converter at the National Archives, and it calculates purchasing power. So you select a year, like I'm going to say 1550, and I'm just going to say what was 10 pounds worth, and I'm going to show the purchasing power. So in 2017, which was when this was last updated, 100 pounds, 10 pounds, I said, is worth 2,746 pounds and 99 pence. And you could buy the following: 2 horses, 8 cows, 31 stones of wool, 10 quarters of wheat, or 333 days of a skilled tradesman's labor. Really interesting, huh? So if you want to poke around and geek out on currency and purchasing power, National Archives, this is a brilliant site for you to do that. Highly recommend it. Okay, this is a picture of, some Tudor money. Tudor money was all coins. There was no paper money. That wasn't in part of the economy until the 18th century. So everything was coins. All coins had either gold or silver in them, but the amount differed, making the coins more or less valuable depending on how much other metal was mixed with the coins. So if you had a coin that was, 100% gold, that was worth way more, obviously, than a coin that was only 50% gold. And England, of course, still uses pounds and pence, but shilling ended in 1971. During the Tudor period, a pound had 240 pennies. A half penny was half a penny. You literally cut the penny in half. And a farthing was a quarter of a penny. And if you ever see the name D when you're doing research in account lists, you see things like, something was 15D. And I remember when I first started, getting into this stuff, thinking, what was a D worth? It actually stands for the Roman name denarius, which was the silver coin in Rome, and it represented a penny. So something that was 13D was 13 pennies. And shillings were expressed with an S, came from another Roman coin, the sestertius. And there were 20 shillings to each pound. Of course, 240 pennies to a pound, so 12 pennies in a shilling. An unskilled laborer would earn somewhere between 5 and 10 pounds a year. Skilled workmen could earn 6 pennies a day. A pound of cheese cost 1.5 pennies. So think about that, because this is what I talk about with stuff being relatively more or less expensive. Like, I think that's the thing about conversions, that we need to keep in mind, is that stuff was, relatively more or less expensive. Anyway, here's a list of the Tudor coins used. A pound, an angel was 10 shillings, a crown was 5 shillings, a half crown was 2 shillings and 6 pence, a shilling was 12 pennies, a groat was 4 pennies, a half groat was 2 pennies, and a 3 farthing was 3/4 of a penny, and a farthing was 1/4 of a penny. People used to cheat the system by clipping tiny amounts off the edges of coins to try and get more metal, and they would melt it down and make fresh coins. And if you look at today's coins, they have that texture around the edge, the kind of like lines. That's so that we also cannot clip our coins and make them smaller and melt them down and make new coins. So seems like very complicated. Like, I'm in the US, I use dollars, right? When I lived in Spain, I used euros. And in England, it's pounds and pence. This idea of like 10 different kinds of coins. Well, I don't know. I guess it's like nickels, right? And dimes. So it's like a dollar, and then you have a quarter and a dime and a nickel and a penny. So I guess it's pretty similar. I guess it's pretty similar now that I think about it, but it does seem a little bit more complicated to me. I don't know. What do you think? Leave me a comment and let me know if you think you could have managed with the Tudor money, and just what you think about currency conversion in general, and the idea that it would cost the equivalent of like $80 for a dozen eggs. But I mean, that's the thing. That's where it's not exactly. It's just more like the percentage of the person's wage that it would be. Anyway, I geek out. Like, I could geek out on this stuff forever. If you want to geek out on economics and currency conversions and the philosophy of credit with me, I'm totally down. Just leave me a comment and let me know, and we will geek out on that. Okay. So, hey, I hope you're having an amazing day. I hope you get some sunshine and have a wonderful, Tudorific, fantastic day. Remember Tudor Con, englandcast.com/TudorCon online to get your streaming ticket. All right. I will talk to you in my next video, probably tomorrow. Bye-bye.